Welcome to the shit show. Things are going to get weird. It's your fave villain, Kail, and you're listening to Barely Famous. Happy Friday. Welcome to another episode of Barely Famous Podcast. We have Rico Hundo back on site.
Barely Famous.
Barely Famous Podcast. All right. Before we started recording, I asked you how your daughter was. We have children roughly around the same age. You came on the podcast before, I think, when she was like a newborn.
Was she? Yeah, maybe.
I think you had just had her.
Yeah.
And I asked you if you were in a relationship then. You said yes. And then I just asked you now if you're still with her, and you said yes.
That's about 5 years now.
5 years.
Yeah.
And you're committed. You're not cheating on her.
No, not anymore.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
But you were.
I did.
And how did that work out for you?
I mean, see, I think our situation is a little bit different because we had just got together and the baby came. Literally, like, we made it official, I would say, 2 months prior to her pregnancy. And like the way I am, I'm very planned and detailed with everything.
You didn't want kids though, right? At first?
No, I did.
Oh,
I actually planned on having kids maybe about 9 months after or 10 months after we got together. I was like, 1 year mark, then we can start to have a family. I already had that planned.
Yeah.
But that happened super early.
Okay.
And because of that, and it was during COVID, I had 5 stores. So I was already like overwhelmed with business. So I kind of didn't want it at that point in time. I wanted the stores to kind of settle down. I didn't have to fly every single place before I actually, had a family. And I think because of that, I had so much chaos at that time because now I have 5 stores. I have my podcast. I have all these other different businesses plus a family. And I had a little bit of resentment. I had a little bit of resentment because she didn't stick to the plan.
Which was what?
The plan was to not have any kids anytime soon.
But you had control over that. You could have pulled out.
No, well, the thing is we had an agreement. So we had an agreement.
But you didn't follow the agreement right off the bat.
No. I definitely did.
So you used protection.
No.
Did you get a vasectomy?
No, the agreement was
that you didn't pull out.
No, the agreement was very simple. I'm not going to use condoms, so we have two options. We either don't have sex or you take the morning after pill. That's going to be the agreement.
But you're not going to pull out.
No. Either we don't have sex.
Rico.
Rico. I think this is pretty much clear, right?
No.
Why not?
So you are placing all of the blame on her for getting pregnant, basically, and keeping the baby when you had the ability to get a vasectomy, use condoms, pull out.
Well, she didn't want to go on birth control.
Okay, and that's her right.
Okay, so then neither is pulling out.
Let me just tell you something. As a woman, I do not want someone to nut in me because it smells like dead bodies after a couple hours. So you are not, nobody's nutting in me, right? Like, well, I mean, that didn't work out for me very well, did it? But that was all in committed relationships. But what I'm saying is, if I am newly in a relationship and that is the plan for us to not get pregnant, I'm not letting him nut in me either.
Yeah, but it's not about that, right? So now you're taking it from a perspective where you feel as if you only have one option. The other option is we practice celibacy. And I'm perfectly fine with either or. So I gave you an option. You chose to pick an option. So right? Hold on. Okay. I believe in choice, right? So if I give you an option to choose, all right, cool. I'm going to take the morning after pill after we have sex. We just can't have sex every single day because you're not going to be taking the morning after pill every single day, right? Now you have that option and you're obligated and bound to your word. Once I give you the opportunity to choose, I'm expecting you to act upon your choice. Now, if you go outside of that choice, that's when betrayal happens, right? And that's when it's like, well, why would you do this? Because if that was the case, you've actually technically robbed me of the opportunity of not even doing this to begin with, right? So that's what was the resentment. That was the point where it's like, well, why would you? It kind of felt like a setup. Why would you tell me one thing and then do the other? So that's why it ended up becoming that way. So in the whole pregnancy was like, it was chaotic for us, right? Because I was upset about it. So I wasn't treating her the best during her pregnancy. And then at some point in time, I had to understand, like, listen, that's not the way, you go about it. It is what it is. You have to accept it for what it was. But deep down inside, there was a part of me that questioned, why would she tell me one thing and do the other? Right. And that lasted, I would say, about a year or so. That at that point in time, I wasn't being faithful, you know?
My first question is, why was the choice solely on her to decide whether she was going to take the morning after pill or not? Why wasn't it on you to say, I am going to pull out or I'm going to use condoms? Because we all know that you guys don't like to do that. But why not just put the future
Why?
in your own hands? Like, you could have prevented that your own self.
Well, I believe that when we have conversations with individuals, we tend to say, listen, and this is actually funny because when you think about business and the history, especially in America, right? If you do business overseas, it's a little bit different. But when you do business back in the day, you can actually have a handshake deal. That means you are a person of integrity, you are a person who honors your word, you are a person who honors your commitment, whatever that commitment may be, right? Nowadays, we need contracts, we need NDAs, we need all these different things in place because people do not honor their word. People will give you their word on one thing and then no longer uh, be bound by it. Now, for me, I'm a person that if I give you my word, I'm going to honor my word. And I tend to feel as if I can read people well. And when I get into business or into anything with somebody, when they give me their word and I decide to do or go forward with them, that's a person that I personally believe is going to honor their word.
So when you entered into this relationship with her and you made it permanent, you were official with her 2 months prior to the pregnancy. By doing that, you gave her your word that you were going to be faithful and then did not follow through with that. So what does that say about you?
Well, I felt like what happened, well, not feel like, what actually happened was the way I felt was like, well, if you betrayed me, it is nothing for me to betray you, which is
So
spite, and it's not good. And I'm not saying that that's okay, right? But there was spite, but there's a cause and effect for everything. And as a human being, we have to understand that how you do what you do to me can cause a different reaction. Now, I could have left. Now, if this wasn't a thing where it was if this was more so infidelity, then maybe I would have just left. But now we have a more intricate situation where you have a child involved. And although my feelings and my emotions were like, I don't trust this person enough to be with this person to work these things out because this person can tell me one thing that's going to ultimately affect my entire life and not honor their own word. It made me question the longevity of being with this person. However, when you have a kid, at some point in time, you have to say, you know what? What's more important? Seeing things through and potentially giving that opportunity, that second chance opportunity of this person could grow into a better person. And hopefully, we can have that family together because at the end of the day, especially Black kids, we're growing up with so many broken households over one decision that was made that was not necessarily in the other person's favor. Now, for me, I'm all about trying to figure it out now. So, can I push through this? Can I push through this? Can I let go of my feelings and the promises that I made to myself of what I will and will not tolerate for the sake of not just me, but our family, our unit, and that's where it was. So I mean, at the end of the day, in the beginning, was I being spiteful? Yeah. And I had a choice to make. And once I let go of that spite, I did come clean about everything that I did throughout that process of feeling that moment. I don't delete anything in my phone. I said, listen,
you told her you cheated on her?
I told her I came clean about everything.
Oh, I asked you, did you tell her you cheated on
I
her?
didn't tell her initially, right?
Okay.
So somebody else brought it to her attention.
Okay.
And then that person, I said, you know what? You know, that's not the only situation that has happened. And if we're going to push forward, if you're going to actually work and trying to forgive me, there's going to be no skeletons in my closet. And so I don't delete anything in my phone, both of my phones. Here are my phones.
You let her go through your phones?
She had them for like days because there was a lot in there. The whole coming clean process happened years after the fact, maybe a year or two,
Years. So
like a year or two.
you had cheated on her multiple times and you didn't come clean about it for years.
So it was.
Can you walk me through, from a man's perspective, the decision making behind, one, cheating on her, and two, not telling her for years?
Well,
Can you love someone and still cheat on them?
of course, right? Well, the first thing I would say, and I don't want to say in my defense, but part of the situations that happened, we had broken up for like 2 weeks at a time. And although technically that's not cheating, those 2 week periods is when I would go out and do whatever I did. But we still lived together, even though we were broken up, right?
There
So
it is.
it's still like cheating, but it's not, right?
For sure.
Technically, it's not.
I'm that's what my ex used to do to me, so I recognize that. And before we started
But I was the one that never broke up. She would break up with me
because you were doing dog shit.
No. She would break up with me because we get into an argument. Then she's like, I don't, da, da, da. Then I'm like, all right, cool, fine. So then I was like, that was a green light for me. Don't break up with me if you don't expect me to do anything in any time frame.
Summer is full of big moments like weddings, vacations, endless picture taking. But if you're dealing with hair loss or hair thinning and shedding, you might not want to show up for any of these moments. And trust me, I understand after having 2 back-to-back pregnancies and a ton of postpartum hair loss, I just don't even want to be in pictures sometimes. But Nutrafol takes a whole body approach to hair growth. They work from the inside out. So this will help with your confidence starting from the inside. And the sooner you start, the sooner you'll start feeling confident and focusing on what matters the most. And so you may have heard of Nutrafol's hair growth supplements and wondered, do these actually work? And it is a fair question because many hair supplements are out there. They overcompromise, they underdeliver. But Nutrafol is different because they're the #1 dermatologist recommended hair growth supplement brand, and they're trusted by 1.5 million people. Nutrafol is clinically tested to deliver real results in just 3 to 6 months. And I cannot tell you how much it's helped me. I have it right here sitting at my desk. And while so many supplements rely on ingredient studies, Nutrafol clinically tests its final formulations using advanced hair measurement tools like hair counts and pull tests to track real improvements in growth, quality, shedding, and texture. I'm telling you guys, this will change the game for your hair. This summer, you can stop worrying about your hair and start making memories. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering my listeners $10 off their first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter promo code COFFEE. Find out why Nutrafol is the best-selling hair growth supplement brand at Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com, promo code FAMOUS. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code FAMOUS. Would you have cheated anyway?
I would have thought about it.
You would have thought about it?
Of course.
Walk me through that. Wait, right? Like this woman.
Of course. Because every man thinks about cheating.
No, they don't.
Yes.
No, they don't.
Jesus.
How locked in you
Wait, hold on. Ladies.
No matter how locked.
None of you here are a man.
No, but I have been. Right. I have been on.
I'm like, let me explain something.
I have been on both sides, right? I've been a cheater and I've been cheated on. And every single time that I have cheated in my lifetime, which was not very often, I knew it was wrong in the pit of my stomach, okay? The entire act that ensued. I knew it was wrong. I did it anyway. And that was my realization every single time, that I knew that person was not for me because I was capable of cheating on them.
Maybe for men, that person was for you because you were capable to feel that it was wrong, right? If you can cheat on somebody and feel nothing, that's when you realize that person is not for you. If you cheat on somebody because you're making a terrible decision at that point in time for whatever your justifications are, but you now morally feel bad because you actually genuinely care about the person you're with, maybe that's actually the right person because you care enough to say that, hey, I'm doing something wrong, versus, hey, I did something, whatever it is.
Well, I think I just have morals as a human being.
Well, those are morals not as a human being. Those are morals as a society, right? A societal, a current time frame, right? Because at one point, there was no real attachment to cheating. I mean, if you actually look at it, the stats of cheating is relatively new in terms of how long people have been in existence, right? Cheating is what, maybe about 200 years old, 150 years old, is relatively new to the way humanity used to operate for millennia.
Because you're saying that they're not meant to be monogamous.
We never were.
I agree with that, and I always have. But I feel like monogamy in your lifetime versus monogamy with the person that you are committed to are two very different things. So when I enter a relationship, there is an expectation that we are going to be monogamous with each other. But in my lifetime, I'm not monogamous. I'm not a monogamous human being. I've been with multiple people. That to me is true.
But I feel like that's also the societal standard, right?
So while you were cheating on her, did you feel bad?
The times that I actually cheated, and I would say I cheated where where you didn't break up with me, we didn't speak to each other and walk past each other in the house for 7-10 days. Those times I didn't feel bad. So I'm like, in my mind, I hold you to your word. So if you're saying you're done and you're leaving and you're moving on, In my mind, you are. So I'm preparing for the same exact thing, right? So at those points in times, no, I did not feel bad, right? I felt bad once we got back together, and I'm like, well, damn, should I actually say what I did during this break?
Did you?
No, not initially. But the times that I did cheat, where I knew I cheated out of spite, those times I felt bad.
Has she ever cheated on you?
I mean, not that I know of. Is it possible? Women, they say women cheat better than men. Not smarter. It's just
we are smarter.
You're not smarter at all.
We are. And you have a daughter, so you should know
My
that.
daughter is not smarter than me either. Yes. Never will be.
Where do you get some of your ideations and your misogynist outlook on life? Where does it come from?
It's not misogynist. It's actually not. We went through the definition already, and I think it's very important for people to study etymology, right? So when we study etymology, we know that the actual origin and root of words, and I think it's important to understand the root of life, which is where my ideologies come from. They come from the root, not the new trend of what we're supposed to feel or believe, what we're supposed to identify, what we're supposed to accept. Because obviously, if I can take you from here in America and I take you to Dubai or I take you to Europe, doesn't matter, Switzerland, the norms and what is accepted, what is accepted socially differ. Right?
Right.
So what that means is where do we get to a point, or how do we get to a point where we become so small-minded where we literally think that anything that's opposite of what we think is wrong? Right? Because think about how many things have changed in the last 30, 40 years since we've probably all, maybe some people 20 years since we've all been here in this world.
Not much.
A lot. I remember when I went to high school, you could smack a girl's ass and it wasn't a problem. Now that's assault.
It should always be assault.
I'm not saying that it shouldn't be. What I'm saying is that look at how life has changed. Understand that things are changing while in real time, while you are alive. Some are in your benefit, some may not be, right? Look at what's happening with food. At one point in time, 50, 60 years ago, putting these chemicals in food was not okay. Now it is okay. Look at everything that is changing. So when you want to talk about ideologies, we have to look at what is the whole bigger picture.
But you don't think some of these ideologies and your outlook is very outdated and very misogynistic for what used to be, where the men hold, they work, they provide, they do X, Y, and Z for their families and their wives. Like, you remind me of someone who expects a woman to stay in the kitchen and to keep their mouth shut and to not cheat and to honor their word, even though you're not honoring yours. That's the type of person.
That's not true, because I also love the fact that a woman can become wealthy on her own. My mom is a single parent who has 5 degrees, and I watched a woman do it. I think the problem is that I expect women to be more equal than they want to be. That's why I think the problem is, because if I say, hey, listen, if I believe in 50-50, now I'm a brokey, or I'm a roommate, or I'm all these different things. I actually believe that the floor should be open for you to reach your full potential. But understand, your full potential doesn't mean you could doesn't dictate how you treat another individual, doesn't dictate how you look at a man any less or a woman any less. I actually believe 100% opposite. I would love for my woman to work. I would love for my woman to be the breadwinner. I am not insecure about that in any way, shape, or form.
Is she your girlfriend? Wife?
Yeah.
Fiance?
No, we're not married yet.
Okay. So your partner, if she made more money than you and she was the breadwinner and the sole provider and all of those things, you would be 100% okay with that?
I would prefer it. I would prefer it. And I've always have. I said this in numerous different times. Any man who's not okay with a woman making the same or more than him is just a man who's in a power tripping position. He's an insecure man, and he feels like that's the only thing that brings him value.
Some of the things you say also suggest that. Like you said, a girl who has 1,000 followers or less and she's an 8 is like finding the Virgin Mary, right? Like what you're saying, I don't think necessarily aligns.
Well, I think now we have to move that poll up. The 1,000 is like, nowadays everybody has followers, and I don't even know how they're getting them. But yes, at one point in time, right?
What are you talking about?
Right, because the numerics. But yes, I do think that a woman who has not been tainted by popularity and is also beautiful is a gift.
So someone like me is what, not worthy?
For who? For me?
I don't want to be with you.
So then does it matter?
But I'm asking you based on what you're saying. So what's an 8 to you?
Like physically, or?
I don't know. What did you mean by that?
I meant physically. If she's cute, if she's an 8, like she's solid. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of times we get to this point, right, where we think or believe, either or, that exposure does not alter us.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So
but it does, as you and I know that.
And it does, right?
It does.
100%. It alters people's personalities, their ego. It can alter their lifestyles. And that's the problem that I have with it, because at one point in time, it altered me, right? And I literally had to lose in order to be like, okay, hold on. This is just glamour and lights. You still have to remember who you are at your core while you navigate through whatever it is that I was doing, right? A lot of people can't do that. A lot of people fall victim to that. And so popularity has become, especially to this day and age where you have social media, where popularity seems to be their only justifying reason to have value. But yet they're not making money. That doesn't mean that they're good people.
Are you making money, Rico?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't had a job since 2016 or 17.
How do you make your money?
I buy bookings. I'm contracted on a couple of different shows. I get booked every single month. Okay. And I've been getting booked.
Shut up. Shut up.
But I also...
Did you get paid for Game of Clones? I never asked you that.
I
you did?
Yeah. And funny story about that, right?
For those of you guys who are new here, Rico and I did a dating show together, and he was the one that I picked or whatever is like the winner. I just didn't know.
And then she comes over here and thinks I'm misogynist.
You are.
But now look at how I've grown. Because in that
you haven't.
In that show, I said you can't go through my phone. Remember that? Now my girl could go through my phone.
My God.
It's all about compromise.
I think that was 7-ish years ago, 6 years ago. So you made this much progress.
That's a lot. It's moving the needle.
I wish I had a shock collar here and I'd wrap it around his neck. Next time you come on this podcast, I'm bringing the shock collar. So first, let me ask you this. What was the deciding factor for you and your girlfriend to stay together after you came clean about all of your cheating?
Well, that's a question you would have to ask her.
She decided that?
Yeah, she decided that. She made she had some new requirements to go forward. For example, she didn't want any secrets between us or any restrictions. So for example, she said, I want to know everything. So here's access to it. I want to continue to have open transparency. So my passcodes have never changed, but she knows them. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, if I lose my phone, I don't want anybody to go through it. So I'm never not going to have a passcode on it. But if she decides to pick up my phone, she can. And it's actually more of a lightweight now, because back then
it's a lot of work to cheat.
It is. You gotta be really good. That's why,
That's why you got away with it for so long.
But I still could, right? But I just choose not to. It's all a choice.
I know.
It's
I know that.
But so that was more so all her. So she had some different things. She wanted to basically be able to have access to whatever I have access to. She wanted open transparency on that, which is fine. You know what I'm saying?
So what was the turning point for you to agree to those as a compromise? What changed in you that you were like, okay, I'm willing to do those things now versus in the beginning?
I don't think it's that something changed. I think it's just the simple fact that, growing up with a single parent is not good, because you're easy to say, I could live without. And I realized that I had that problem, because I could live without. I have.
Without her, you mean?
Anybody. Or anything.
Right.
Any opportunity, I've always created another one. Any woman I've always replaced with the same or better. Right? Anything I've always been able to find the same or better. I have never regressed at any point in my life. So I didn't want to have my kid have the same mindset that people and situations are disposable because you can replace them.
Okay, so how do you teach your daughter this now when it took you having her and, you know, her being almost 4 years old for you to come to these realizations? Like, how do you balance that, and how will you teach your daughter? Would you want your daughter to date someone like you?
Of course. 100%. I would see, the thing is, for my daughter to date somebody like me now, obviously with my situation, I feel it was a little bit different because that's the first time I moved out of spite. But I also do know I moved out of spite for numerous reasons. Not just her and my situation with her, but the situations that I was facing at that time and the adversity. I mean, I was 25 years old. I was making $1 million in 6 months every year for 4 years straight, my company, right? And now I'm growing and I'm learning because I don't know everything that I'm getting thrown in a fire, and I'm having a lot of success, but I'm having a lot of expenses. You know, you have overhead where you have to, but people don't understand, like when you're an actual boss and you're taking care of people's families, like some people are only eating because you are paying them, right? And they have kids that.
But that doesn't justify or like have anything to do with cheating.
No. But what I'm saying is, now when you have to cut back and you have to fire somebody, and it's not because they did a bad job, it's because you can't afford to keep them afloat, and you have people that are crying in front of you saying, "Hey, I need this opportunity. I can't feed my children without it." And you're starting to see all these psychological things that weigh on you as a boss, especially when your business is now declining, right? And your expenses are over. And then now on top of that, we have COVID. Like this was all during COVID, by the way. So I'm having so many different things, and I have lawsuits. I'm getting sued by Canada Goose. This is $100,000 here. I have so many different moving pieces. And
why were you sued?
So I was sued because our logo was a circle.
Close.
No, it was a circle, and our name has goose in it. That was it. Really, what happened was we were taking over the luxury winter coat and furs industry so fast, so rapidly, that if you typed in Canada Goose on Google, we'd pop up first. And we weren't paying for advertisement, right? So now what happens is when they got whiff of that, they're like, what we're going to do is we're going to try to sue you. We're going to try to block your trademark. We're going to drag it out in legal fees because a lot of people can't withstand all those, right? But I was going through that process as well. So when I'm having a lot of these different other issues outside of my relationship, and then I wanted my relationship, or every man, I would say every person wants their relationship to be that grounding space. And now I'm dealing with this situation where I felt like I could trust you and you're the shoulder I could lean on. And for me, you pulled your shoulder from underneath me. And now, not only did you do that, but now you're bringing in a kid, which, now is what, 7? We found out when she was already 2 months pregnant. So 7 months out. And I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to maintain business. And now now I got to figure out how I'm going to take care of a family. I'm watching my business decline. I'm watching, and I'm trying to get everything afloat while going through COVID and navigate through this. So in that moment, I felt like you don't care enough about stability, right? And or my mental health, because I'm confiding into you about all the issues that is going on in my life day to day. So at that point in time, I felt like it bred spite. Now, outside of that situation, I've always been 100% with women since I was 21 years old. And my mother told me, listen, don't argue with women. Just be honest. Tell them that you're not going to be faithful. Tell them that you're going to want more than one. Before I started dating my girl, I told her, if you want to be with me, understand I want 2 wives. This is something that I've been upfront about.
To this day, you want 2 wives?
Well, that was part of the things that I had to get rid of to continue to move forward, right? So when I'm saying, so wait, hold on. I want to answer the question, right? I don't want to lose it. So moral of the story is, outside of the situation where I was being spiteful and I did not do what I typically do, I'm a man of my word.
But you're not.
No, I am.
Because a man of their word does not simply act out of spite simply because someone else didn't follow their word. And when you have integrity and morals, regardless of how people treat you, you are still going to be the person that you've always been, which is you claim to be a man of your word. So
Yeah.
regardless of what people do to you, you should still be that person.
No, and I agree 100%, but that doesn't mean that you're perfect, right? So there's
Agreed.
there's gonna be times and situations. If I could say I'm 90% and 10%, I'm cool. Even 80-20. 80% of the times I'm a man of my word, and 20% of the times I'm not, for whatever the reason situation may be, whatever I might deem as justifiable. I can live with that. And if you ask me, do I want a man to be that way with my daughter? 100%. If a man is going to say, hey, listen, I want 2 wives, do you want to be one of them? That's my daughter's decision. If a man is going to give my daughter the power of choice from the very beginning, then I'll respect him. I would want her to have that. Whether or not I agree with her being the second or the fourth wife doesn't matter. It's not my life to live. But don't rob my child of her choice. That's the most important thing for me.
But you robbed her mother of the choice for some time.
She robbed me too.
No, you robbed
We
yourself.
robbed each other. It was so much more, and I'm kind of just keeping it surface level. Yeah. But it started with that. It was actually 3 things. It was like boom, 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 and I'm like, whoa, no.
Here's the thing, though. You don't know how you are going to react to something or how your feelings will change until you are physically put in that position, right? So my ex and I, I've talked to you about him before. We had those conversations in the beginning of our relationship where we talked about having kids, and he said, when I turn this year, I don't know how old, 27, whatever it was at the time, we can talk about kids. Okay, well, he also had the choice and the ability to pull out. He didn't. We got pregnant, took Plan B, still ended up pregnant. To me, I didn't know how we were going to handle, neither one of us knew how we were going to handle that situation until we were physically in it, right? So she could have said, okay, I'll take a Plan B. And then she realized once she was already pregnant or once you guys already had sex, I don't know if I maybe want this baby. Like I maybe want a life with you. And so her feelings change just like that. And so I think that there is a difference between saying you're going to do something and holding your word and then something actually happening where you're put in that position is very different. It's not like me saying, Rico, we're going to start a business together. And now you have my word that we're going to start this business together. It's like, there's a life being created here. So it's a life altering thing. The business that we said we were going to start is not life altering.
And I agree, but that's the same. It goes on both sides of the coin. So you have to understand that when you're doing something that affects somebody else, you don't know how that person's going to respond, and neither do they. I can exactly say, you know what? I've been a man of my word majority of my adulthood. But at this point in time, this has affected me to a point where I don't feel like I even want to speak to you or be honest with you anymore. And I never saw that coming. And in myself, I got the name Hundo because I was always keeping it 100. That's exactly how I got.
Who gave you that?
In college, right?
The mentality that you have, and I just can't understand it. I don't understand your ideas. I don't understand your mentality. I don't understand your thought process. I understand absolutely nothing.
That's okay though. It's not, I don't think that we need to understand everything about everyone.
No, I agree, but like I don't know how you get to some of your conclusions.
But
you don't use logic for sure.
It's actually 100% logic. So like I can say this, I don't get how we can understand that monogamy is not natural, but then have the expectation of having a monogamous relationship without burden.
But what do you mean without burden?
Without burden.
There's always going to be temptation, but like I said, monogamy in the relationship, but not in your lifetime.
But I'm saying, even then, let's just say this, that's not logical to me.
How not?
If I want to drive trucks for a living, I'm not going to drive a smart car for practice. It's not even the same thing.
What the fuck are you talking about?
So what I'm saying is, if I want to practice monogamy, right? If I want a monogamous relationship, I should be practicing monogamy throughout my entire life.
No.
Why would you not? You're practicing, for example, let's just say I'm dating, right? Mm-hmm. And I date 4 girls at a time. I'm not serious or committed with any one of them. I'm just dating.
Okay.
But I want a monogamous relationship. That doesn't even make sense. Because I'm literally in the moment practicing poly. Because look,
you're dating around to find the person that you would want to be monogamous with.
But dating, okay, so you
have to know as a man, like as a woman, I know who my, like, my person is, right? So I think at the point that I was with someone that was a serial cheater all the time, right? Like I wanted him to pick me so bad, so I stayed, right? I realize now, years later, that that was just who he was. That was in his nature. My most.
Do you believe? Oh, so
Go ahead. Go
okay.
ahead.
No,
No,
you
no, you're
answered it.
fine.
So you believe essentially that he could not cheat.
Correct. I think there are men who cannot cheat. I think I'm not saying that there's not temptation. I'm not saying that they don't think about cheating, but the difference between thinking
Action.
about it and action, I think, are very different. You have a choice leading up to that. Do you want to throw away your entire life for a 5-minute fuck? I can't say that I think that that's something that men really think about. And the real men that have spines are going to say, this isn't worth throwing away my entire life. And it could go
Or
for
what
women
about
as
the
well.
real woman? Let's flip it.
No, and
the
I
real
agree.
woman that have spines is gonna say, I don't think that this is worth throwing. If this guy's a great guy, or whoever's the cheater,
right? Because I was the abusee turned into the abuser, right? So that relationship with him around the time that we filmed that show together, he was just cheating on me, right? So my next ex was a woman, and I did what he did to me. I turned around and I did it to her, and fucked her up, right? Like not great. So I think that there is a cycle that could be said, but I knew every single time I cheated on her, I knew that I was not meant to be with her. But then the next ex, I know, could have been my person.
Did she know?
Yeah, she caught me every time.
But she stayed.
She stayed.
Is that not strength?
No, it's spineless.
That's actually the most, and that's my thing, right? So right now we're actually in the age and a time where so many people can't actually deal with adversity, and not just in cheating. I'm just saying in life.
They can or they can't.
Can't. It's actually being proven. And the problem is,
but what does that have to do with cheating? You think cheating should be a part of adversities? Because I just don't agree.
I think that cheating can be. I don't think a serial cheater I think that's entirely different.
Is that what you were?
I wasn't a serial cheater because
I don't know. If you cheat more than once, you're a serial cheater with the same person. I don't think that once a cheater, always a cheater. I don't.
Okay.
I think that you could cheat and realize what you lost and never cheat again. I think that there are families and couples that can overcome cheating and you can get through it depending on the circumstances. If and it's not for me to really judge, but if I was your girlfriend, I would not have been able to come back from that. That's not something that I would, because you did it more than once.
Yeah. But you didn't know about it.
That's worse.
No.
Because
Like
you slept at night.
No. See, but it's not about what I did, right? Because you don't know how I slept. I could have slept uncomfortably.
No, because you kept doing it.
No, I didn't kept doing it.
How many times?
Few.
Roughly. More than 5?
No.
I just can't. Like,
It's
I don't understand it.
2 times a year, you know.
What? You said that you do not show loyalty to anyone
who doesn't show love.
You don't, yeah. I have the quote. You said you don't show anyone love until they show you loyalty. What makes you think that anyone owes you loyalty?
I think that for me, right? And remember, everything is subjective because the way you live your life or whatever you perceive is going to be entirely different, right? Than me or whoever is the audience.
Sure.
For me, I value loyalty more than love. To me, that is actually love, a love language for me. Loyalty, right? Loyalty also helps me embody trust. I don't have to worry. I don't want another moving part when I decide to love you. And that moving part is usually because I don't trust you or I have to watch you. I don't want to have to deal with any of that, right?
So this is in terms of a relationship, or this is in terms of friendship or
business,
okay.
Relationship, all of them, right?
So how does one show you love and loyalty?
What do you mean?
Like when you're, say you enter,
like
you and your friend right here.
Oh, being there.
Okay.
Being present, being transparent, being an accountability partner.
But why do you think that someone should owe that to you? Like owes that to you right away?
I don't think nobody's indebted to me though. I'm saying if you want something from me, this is the exchange. So if you want me to love you, in exchange for my love, I need loyalty. And with loyalty, I need a safe. See, for me, when you have loyalty, or when I have loyalty, it's a safe place to love. Without loyalty, it's not a safe place for me to put my love in. It doesn't even seem like a smart investment emotionally.
And so in terms of your relationship, you did not get the loyalty, or you did not get in order for you to love her and accept, the compromises that you were presented with, you needed the love from her you needed the loyalty from her, but you didn't feel like you had that.
That is very, very accurate. So I felt like the loyalty was not being displayed, especially early on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we spoke before we actually dated seriously. Before we actually got together seriously, we dated for about 6 months.
Okay.
5-6 months, give or take.
Mm-hmm.
About February to June.
Okay.
Right? Or July, roughly. And, from there, it was all like, it was still figuring each other out. Plus, the COVID happened in the middle of that whole situation,
Right.
which I didn't see her for like 2 months, but we still spoke every day, very, very consistent with that. And then when I decided to make that step, I literally stopped talking to all the women that I was speaking to at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I was like, all right, cool. This is what it's going to be. And I was already trying to fill you out. There was a couple little nuances that we had here and there, which is fine because, again, you're not indebted to me. But if you want to actually be with me and you tell me you want to be with me, I'm going to tell you what it takes to be with me. I'm not playing the guessing game. You know what I'm saying? I don't want you to guess what it takes to make me happy or what it takes to be with me or what it takes to get different versions or sides of me that you might want. I'm going to tell you exactly how to do it because I know it. A lot of people haven't done the self-work.
But you have.
Of course. You know what I did when I was 21 to get to where I even got to?
Tell me.
Jesus Christ, it was a lot.
Like
right?
what?
So I recommend this for everybody.
Okay.
But you have to be 100% egoless within yourself. It's hard.
Okay.
Challenge yourself to write 50 flaws about you. On a piece of paper. Write it down. Literally. 50 flaws. Push for it. Most people are going to stop at that 10, 20 mark. But push to 50.
Why? What is the purpose of that?
Because it's going to make you peel the layers back, right? Now, once you push to 50, once you reach 50, and sometimes it'll be an open door where now you're being really brutally honest with yourself of all the flaws. You might even go to 100. After you do those flaws, you're going to write a dash, and the next grid or category is going to be why/when. Right? So if I say, hey, listen, I am short-tempered and I'm explosive, I'm going to then say dash why/when. When did I notice it and why is it happening? Or where did it came from? Maybe it was...
What if you don't know?
Well, that's the point. The point is to challenge yourself where you can recall it. It might have even happened before then, right? Whatever that time frame. But you have to be able to see yourself in full. So these are the types of things and activities that I did within myself. And I remember because I wrote like 200 flaws. And at that point in time when I was 21, I was an entirely different person. I didn't even look the same. I didn't talk the same. I didn't dress the same as I do right now.
You've mentioned before on the podcast and also here today that you were raised by a single mom. Did you witness her being hurt by men? And how has that shaped your relationship with her, but two, your ideologies today?
I don't think I've ever witnessed my mom being hurt by a man.
Emotionally, you never saw her cry over a man?
No. But my mom is a Leo, and I'm big into astrology, and I'll battle anybody.
So what you're saying is...
Huh? I'm an Aquarius.
What's that, February?
My daughter's an Aries. What are you, a Cancer? Yep. I can tell.
What am I?
You're a Pisces.
How do you know that?
Because I remember your birthday. But yeah, my mom is a Leo, so she's a fire. Like, my mom is different, and I believe, like... Yeah, my mom is a boss.
What does she think about all of the things that you say?
Oh, my mom loves me.
No, I didn't say she didn't love you. I said, what does she think about the things that you say?
She understands it, because my mom is the one who told me. I told you the story. I was arguing with my ex all the time. This was like my ex, right? When I was younger, and I was still living at home. I was maybe like 20, 21 years old, and my mom was like, I'm tired of hearing you argue with this girl because you want to lie. Do you understand if you're just honest, you will have no problems with women? Because
we want the choice the power of choice, right?
And the respect, right?
But if I have the choice and I know right off the bat, I can make the choice whether I want to stay and be a part of this and shut the fuck up or
you sign up for it.
Right.
And so that's what
your mom taught you.
Yeah. So like my mom, so everything that I said, my mom was like, that's what he wants. That's what he wants. But he's not going to sugarcoat it.
She doesn't necessarily agree with what you do, but she's supporting you being honest about what your thoughts are and what you expect.
Most men want the same thing. They're just not honest.
Like what?
They want more than one woman. They want to have periods of times where they can have a break from the relationship, not really necessarily like a breakup, but like a moment where they can go ahead and
Hall
explore.
passes.
Yeah, hall passes. Most men want this. I would argue 90%. Now, ask me how many men are confident that will say it is far less. How many men are confident to say it in public is far less, because at the end of the day, men fear losing women, right? I fear scaring women away, and I fear losing the woman that I might have, if they even have one. But for me, it's like I was never scared of losing anybody, anything, because if I tell you what I want at this point in time in my life, that's where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not aligned, that's fine. It doesn't matter how bad I want you to be here. I'm not forcing alignment. I'm not pushing you to be here with me, knowing that you don't even work with me.
What's your relationship like with your dad? I feel like you told me. I don't remember. What is the relationship with your dad? Do you have a dad?
I mean, I'm here. I have to have a dad, right? But
you can have a sperm donor.
Yeah. So me and my dad do not have a close relationship at all, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was he there? No, not really. He's popped in my life, let's say 3 times in total for a total of 3 or 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Do you have a stepdad? You did,
yes,
or
I
you
did.
You don't anymore.
No, so him and my mom split when I was about 18.
Okay, so you were an adult.
Yeah, but me and him are still like this. He has a son who's a year or 2 older than me.
I remember you telling me
We're
that.
still like this.
That's your brother.
That's my brother. You know what I'm saying? So I did still have that male figure in my life. And the greatest thing about him is that he's like a real OG. So
do you call him dad?
Nah, I don't call
Have
him
you
dad.
ever called him dad?
No.
You've always called him by his name?
Nickname, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But still, like, his son is my brother. If I introduce him, like, this is my brother, he'll tell you, like, this is my little brother.
Do you and your former stepdad and your brother share the same ideologies?
Not necessarily, no. Like, some of them, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But ask me, have they all cheated at a point in their life? Ask me if they all had multiple women at a point of their life. I don't want to put their personal business. We can interview them and another, let them tell their story.
Yeah.
But we ask me if we share the same experiences. The answer is 100% yes. Now, what we want permanently is a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And what we may have is a little bit different. Just because I want something doesn't mean I'm going to achieve it. Right. And I think that's important to note. And same thing for women.
Mm-hmm.
Women want a lot of different types of men or a lot of different characteristics in men and won't find them. And then as they start to go throughout life, that list obviously dwindles.
Mm-hmm.
And then they start to get to that settle period where they're settling for somebody who is not ultimately what they wanted 10 years ago. I just think that that's the nature of life because we have unrealistic expectations. Just like I feel like for us to say, like numerically, just think about this. And I just want you to I'm not normalizing it.
Okay, let's see.
But what we have to do is understand reality. Do you understand that 70%, a rough estimate of relationships, all marriages and not marriage, right? Relationships has infidelity in it.
For sure.
So
does that include financial infidelity or just like cheating?
All infidelity. Financial, emotional, physical.
Mm-hmm.
So my thing is, we get to this point where we act nuts because we want to resist the truth. The truth is that the likelihood of you doing something that's infidelity towards me or considered infidelity or a type of infidelity towards or with me is 7 out of 10. 7 out of 10. So I don't have resistance to the truth.
I don't have resistance to the truth. I think that cheating, especially like we're talking 10-year marriages, 20-year relationships, there is going to be infidelity, right? Like you can't expect someone to go 20 years without cheating. And if you think that you can, you're a liar. But
why does it have to take 20 years? Why not 5?
Maybe 5, depending on what the situation
what about 2?
is. 2 for me, I don't know. I feel like that you should still be in that very new phase of the relationship that you're still building. So for me, cheating within the first 2 years, I think is crazy. So
look, check this out. Back in the day, they said that the women were having sex with the mailman and the milkman, right? This was like what they say.
Yeah,
I wasn't there.
Yeah, that's where is that the milkman's daughter came from?
Exactly.
Right.
Also, back in the day, at the same time, the husband had a whole another family that he was taking care of on the other side of town that nobody knew that he had kids over there.
Mm-hmm.
So women and men been cheating on each other.
I think the way that women tolerated and put up with cheating before, and it was easier to turn a blind eye to cheating before, was because we solely relied on men to be the providers and to be the producers of the home, and so we had to turn a blind eye. We didn't have a choice. Where today, I've made more money than all my exes combined. So I don't need you for any reason. And if you can't help me around the house, I'm going to hire someone who can. So to me, why should I tolerate that when there is that 3% or 30% that would be faithful? Yeah,
Because
the pool is smaller and the time that I get to it might be long, but I'm willing to wait.
they're typically already taken.
I see what you're saying.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay, fair.
There are.
Well, that's why that's part of the reason I don't date anybody with children, because they're bound to cheat.
I would only see, like, going forward, like if me and my girl were to split today,
Mm-hmm.
I would prefer a woman to have a child.
Really?
One.
Knowing that there is an opportunity for her to go back to, because I personally have never experienced a man who has, every single one of my kids' dads has cheated on their significant other with me. Whether we knew it at the time or not, they cheated with me. So for me going into a new relationship, whether it's a woman or a man, if they have kids, I'm not interested. I won't even look, like, actually will not even be immediate turn off, not because of the kids, love the kids, but I have no interest.
Wait, so you're saying, I want to make sure I'm understanding. Your exes cheated with you.
Yes.
But that's the difference between a man and a woman. A woman would rather have sex with somebody she already had sex with versus going and having sex with somebody new. Like, they don't want to add more bodies.
Men?
No, women. So like,
no, I don't think you're so my exes, right? We break up.
Yeah.
They have a new relationship.
Yeah.
And they cheat on their new relationship with me.
That's what I'm saying. Because
I'm going back to them, you're saying.
Yeah, you're not going to go to somebody you don't know to lay with
you. Tracking.
You get me?
Yeah.
So versus a man, right?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. So like, for her to go back to him doesn't make sense.
Why?
Unless if she truly wants to be with him. I feel like it's a little bit different.
Why do men cheat with ugly girls?
Yo, so listen, right? I have a theory, and I'm not too sure if this is the truth, right? But I have a theory. There's a couple of different things.
Tell me.
It was a build-up.
Of what?
Of just like, I just want something different.
Okay.
But I don't want to risk it. A beautiful woman is not going to just play second place. Like, they're not going to just take the back burner and be quiet, especially if they feel like they got emotionally involved with you.
So they're an ugly girl.
The ugly girl knows that a pretty girl is a competitor.
Mm-hmm.
An ugly girl is an acceptor.
So she was just going to do it.
She was going to accept her role and shut up, hopefully, right? My situation, obviously, everybody knows about it. I've been open about it, about when I was cheating.
Mm-hmm.
And the woman is a very beautiful woman.
Right.
The woman is a very paid, influential woman.
The one that you cheated with, or your girlfriend?
The one that blew up the operation, right? Because there was others, right, that I came clean about. But I would never forget this shit. She called me and she said, I've never came second to anybody. Click. I was like, oh shit.
You knew it was the jig was up.
Not even like, I knew it wasn't just like, hey, listen, this is what happened. I knew that this was a screenshot, this was a video, this was whatever the hell she had to destroy. She was coming to destroy.
Why?
Well, because she probably felt the same way.
Were you in love with her?
I don't know if I was in love with her, but I was definitely developing feelings. And that was the first time I've ever done that. That's why I really realized that for me, that was what cheating really is. Cheating is like when you get emotionally involved with something. Like for a guy, I could have sex and completely forget that I had sex until I scroll past you on Instagram.
And you're like, oh shit, I fucked her.
Yeah, like, damn, I forgot about this. You know? And for me, like, that's not really cheating for a guy to me. But when you start to develop actual feelings and emotions, that's like, bro, you're really cheating now. Because now it becomes an affair type of situation.
Right.
Right. And for me, that is uncalled for. And I think that's what it was, you know, and it was mutual. Like, there was feelings being developed there.
The times that I have cheated in my life, I think that I was with people who were not meeting my needs emotionally. So I was finding that emotional connection somewhere else. So I think for women, we're emotional cheaters, emotional just by nature. But for men, I would say, yeah, I would agree that they more think with their dicks and they don't have those feelings for the women. Like you just said, you could have sex with her and completely forget about it.
And that's what happened. So at that point in time in my actual relationship, we were going through turmoil. It was like separation, not separation, separation, not separation. So for me, I felt like there was no stability there. So in my mind, I'm like, we keep on breaking up to get together. We're about to break up. You know, so I think at that point in time, that was the first time in that relationship where I was like, okay, I'm opening the door to be emotionally available for somebody else. And that's where that happened. You know, not justifying it at all. You know, I'm just saying like that's how that happened, because prior to that, it was never a situation where I actually cared about the person. It was just like, we're vibing and that's it. You know, here today, done tomorrow. You know, nothing's moving. We're not exchanging contact and we're not keeping in contact.
I would be curious to ask your girlfriend if that was why she was able to move on from it, because it didn't mean anything, versus had you had like an emotional like connection to someone that was like ongoing, would she have been able to forgive?
I mean, I don't think that and that's another thing. So for me, I think that people got to understand that there's a good maybe 2 or 3 times time length of the amount of time that you cheated that it's going to take to potentially heal. So
What do
like
you
we
mean?
just got back on track, kind of like we've been good, but like now we're actually getting back on track. Not meaning she forgot. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So like when you think about the situation that happened, she had to go through a lot, and I'm only speaking from the outside looking in. I'm not her. You know, I can't tell you exactly how her feelings were, but I do have an idea. You know, so it took a while for her to just be like, you know, to navigate through the household, you know, with less stress, or at least not wearing it as much, you know?
Right.
I still don't know in full because it's her situation, it's her experience. You know what I mean? And I'm on the other end of it.
But you were willing to be patient with her while she sort of worked through that?
I still am.
Because I think, you know, I've talked to people who have gone through infidelity, and, you know, like I said, I've been on both sides of it. I think that when you're in a relationship and you choose to take someone back and after a cheating scandal or an affair or whatever, it'll come up at the dinner table when you're with your friends, and it'll come up in movies, and it'll come up in shows. And so every single time that happens, you have to reassure your partner. If you're choosing to work through it, you have to choose to comfort them in that moment and not get mad. Because I think that a lot of times, like with my ex, for example, you know, he was cheating and then he'd get mad at me for being upset a week later. And it's like, you didn't even give me time to like get through this. And so I would like bring up all the emotions if I saw it on a show or a movie or whatever. And he'd be like, I can't keep doing this. And it's like, you literally are giving me a week.
Well, even if you like, for me, it was like 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Because this all happened, the whole thing happened 2 years ago. You know, so now we've been 2 years post all of this.
Right. And so now you're wanting the nuclear family. You want to stay together. You want to raise your kids together. You want to do all the things together because you don't want to see your kids in a household without you.
Without us.
Without both of you.
Yeah. It's not about me. Yeah.
At the point that you are not happy in the relationship, do you think it's still important to work it out with her so that you guys can be a nuclear family? Or do you think at that point you would remove yourself and allow another man to come forward and have a semi-nuclear family where there is still a male role model in the house? Because look how you turned out. Like,
I'm a great fucking dad, though. Like the thing is,
but in order to be a great dad, you have to be a great partner.
No.
Yes.
No, they are not synonymous. Some people are great parents and terrible spouses, and vice versa.
Yes, but what are you teaching your kids by doing that?
Well, I think that sometimes we also have to remember, not everybody understands what great is. Whether a great parent for somebody can actually be a shit parent for somebody else.
Right. It's all about perspective.
Right. And it's all about the adaptability to understand that person's needs and desires, whether they're the child or the spouse. Right. And if you can adapt to that. So I have 2 different kids that are entirely different people, entirely different personalities.
The other one's here?
Huh?
The other one's born?
Well, she has a son post to me.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Prior to me, yeah.
Oh, so you're a stepdad.
Yeah, so, and I've had him since he was 6, going on 7. He had just turned 7.
Okay.
And now he'll be 12 this year. So I had him for 5 years.
So he's like Lincoln's age.
Yeah.
Lincoln's 11.
He's, yeah.
Roughly
He's
the same
11.
age. Okay.
He's 11. He'll be 12 this year. and I'm his coach. Like, but the same way that my stepdad was with me, I am with him.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? But I had that. Now I'm hearing a lot of other situations where the step parent was nowhere near the type of step parent that I had.
Right.
So I don't know if I got lucky or if I'm one of the few.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But fortunate can be the same for somebody else.
Right.
Now, and it's also different when you have a boy versus a girl.
Mhm.
Because men are sick, and so are women, but men are sick with little girls, and I don't play that. Like, if something ever happened to my daughter, like,
Mhm.
because all it takes is one experience. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
1 minute, one
Same can be
situation.
said for little boys though too.
Yeah, 100%. But I feel like there are more men who would, and this could be wrong, but I feel like more men that would target a girl versus target a boy.
I agree. And I've said that. Like when I had my daughter, I had twins, boy girl twins. So when I had my daughter, they were both in the NICU, but when I obviously we know it can happen to a boy, but like when I looked at my daughter, I just felt different because I think they're targeted in a different way. They are looked at as more vulnerable than boys. Not saying it can't happen to boys, but I was just like, if someone was to do something to my daughter, like I just don't
Lose
even
it.
know.
Lose it. I'd lose it.
I mean, same for my sons, but
Yeah.
I just think that we as a society, we look at men meant to be stronger. You know, they might be able to fight it off. They might be able to, you know, get out of the situation where we look at women, little girls, and we think that they can't.
And the thing is, and also to add to that, a stepfather is coming into the situation assuming they're heterosexual. This example, the stepfather is coming into the situation already attracted to women. So if I have a son and a daughter, the likelihood that he's going to be attracted to the girl is higher than the boy because he's already attracted to women, which is why he's here. You get what I'm saying?
That's
But
terrifying.
yeah, so like I look at it from that perspective. And now if your
So
daughter,
you have like a teenage daughter.
this man is already attracted to a woman because that's why he's with the mother. There's no telling how far he can go if this man is pushed to the edge or if he can't have self-regulation or maybe he has mental health issues. You know, so for situations like that, I look at it way more delicately than my actual son. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it might be biased, of course, but that's my reasoning for it. Some people are very sick,
Yeah, of course.
and that's what I'm not taking that chance. And I realize that more people are sick now than probably ever, or at least it's more prominent now, and we
Talk
have
about it
a lot
more. We
more.
hear about it more.
And
Not saying it never happened before, but
I hate that because you get to a point where I remember I was pushing my son like, go outside and play, just go play.
mm-hmm.
But then, I told him like, you know what? You're not going to be allowed to play any video games unless you spend 1 hour outside because I
Yeah.
don't want him to be like those kids, like the kids that we're seeing. He went outside, he came back, and I was like, "What'd you do?" He's like, "There was nobody outside," and I'm like, "Damn, I'm the only one pushing him to go outside, but there's nobody outside, right?" So now we got to a point where I realized that as parents, we actually operate in more fear than ever before.
Yeah.
Right? Because of all the potential or the news or everything that we do here, which I hate that because I would love to have the comfortability to say, hey, listen, my son is outside. He fell, he bumped his knee, but he's okay. He played football with the kids or whatever the hell boys do or even girls.
Yeah.
But even if, here's the thing, girls, it's different. It's different. It's different because a little boy could do something too. Like you
Yeah.
have your daughter outside. She's 12. He's 13.
Yeah.
You get what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. I hear
it's
you.
just it's protecting women is like an every single second job.
Right.
You have to see all potential things or the worst case scenarios and try your best to navigate through them. So it's different having a stepdad versus a stepmom, in my opinion. So I think it would be different. And I don't want my daughter to be in the house with another man that I have to be able to vet him entirely to make sure that he's sane enough to not do anything crazy. Because I promise you I'm crazier.
I'm actually shocked that you're a stepdad. Like
And
you
I also said
don't
I would never do it, by the way.
you don't strike me as someone who the way that you talk about certain things, you make it seem like you would rather jump out of a window than be with someone who has a child by another man.
I might have even said that in the
You
past.
probably have.
Right? And
Like basically a mom that has a man with another child is scum of the earth.
I would not scum of the earth, just not for me, right? So my thing is, I wouldn't want to do it. Now, you know, when this situation happened and I looked at it and I talked to my mom about it, she was like, well, it was done for you. I said, well, damn, you got a point, right? So that made me helped me step up to the table or step up to the plate. But the thing is, you know, nowadays I realize something very, very, like for me, my mom set the bar too fucking high as a woman and as a mom and a woman, right? And that's why, like, if me and my girl were to split today, I need to see how you mother. Because if you don't mother or parent the way I would like you to, I don't care how much I love you.
So you think that your girlfriend was a good mom before you came into the picture? You had a chance to see her as a mother?
I did not really have a chance to see her too much as a mother. It was also during COVID. You know what I'm saying? So I saw like moments and like situations, like maybe I'd be on FaceTime with her and like he's there and you know, he was getting his schooling was online at that time, homeschool. So I mean, I saw it, but I didn't see it. I didn't, you know,
Experience it.
yeah, I wasn't in the house with you. You know what I mean? But going forward, I got to make sure that you do parent the way that I need you to parent because I see and I know of too many situations where the mom or the dad is not the parent that the significant other would like for their child.
Right.
And if I come into a space with you and you don't have a children or a child and you want to have children, and then you have children and I don't like the way that you parent, it's going to make me look at you and treat you differently. Although you could be a great wife, but if you're a terrible mother, if I'm a person who values a parent for my children, then I might actually start to not like you,
right,
or think that you are as good as a wife as I once thought you were.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's kind of why I have like a little weird preference now because I want to just know how do you tend to your kids because I'm a person that's now I would say become about family more than ever before.
Right.
You know, and now
Yeah.
because I am big on family now, I'm
Mhm.
not playing that game. Everybody has to play a role in terms of moving the kids in a positive direction.
Right.
I coach the kids in my team I coach the kids in my town for free. I work with them for free. I bring them to, like if they want something and they see me, I buy them whatever they need. You know, like I'm active with all the kids or all the people all the kids in my town, you know, in my age group because I coach them. So
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
like 10, 11, 12-year-olds, right? Not every one of them.
I know what you mean.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like because of that, and I'm such a big presence for them and big presence in my household, I want you to be a big presence as a woman too, you know? And if you've never experienced that, you might be a woman who just like can't deal with the stress of a baby, which could be numerous different reasons, postpartum, a bunch of different things. But there's a lot of bad parents that I'm seeing, even from kids, even from the coaching perspective. I'm watching parents. I was like, I would never want this person to be a mother of my child. You get what I'm saying?
What about a father? You don't think that, you know?
Oh, well, the father too, right? But he can never be the father of well, I guess if he was with, you know, the mother of my child, he could technically be the step parent of my child, right? But I don't even look at it from that perspective. But when I look at women and how they parent their son, because that's what I did with coaching football, I'd be like, I'd never want a relationship with a person like you. Doesn't matter how they look. It doesn't matter how they treat me. I would not want you to be the mother of any of my kids. Like, so like one, there's a preference, right? So I do believe raising boys and raising girls are a little bit different.
I would agree.
But there's a preference. Like, I don't think like dropping your kid off and not being supportive is a good thing for me.
What do you mean?
Like,
dropping your kids off and not being supportive?
Like, there's some parents who would drop their kids off and just leave and come back and pick them up.
To do what?
Like at the sports, I'm saying.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So you're saying sports, okay? Because I'm just thinking like working parents, like
Yeah.
for work.
Well, that's
do you
different.
think? Okay,
Yeah, if they're working, that's
Right,
different. But there's some
okay.
parents that don't even go to the games.
No, I know that to me doesn't make like. But I also came from nobody ever came to my games. Do you know what I mean? So I parent the way that I wasn't parented. But I do agree. Like when I hear stories and they're like, "Oh, my parents didn't come to my games," I'm like, "But you live in a 2-parent household. I can't wrap my head around it." So I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm tracking.
Now, with situations like that, that's just a small situation that obviously bleeds into other situations. I can only imagine. If you're not there and being supportive of the games, I'm going to assume that you're not being supportive and you're missing other moments in other areas.
Right.
Right? It's never just one thing.
Right. If you're lacking here, you're likely to be lacking somewhere else.
Yeah, because it's a character flaw.
Right. Okay, I see what you're saying.
So like situations like that, I would not want that person to be a parent of my child.
Well, thank you for coming on Barely Famous podcast.
Thank you.
I will be curious to see how people react to this.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Reactions are just reactions. We appreciate the reactions though and engagements. Make sure you keep on subscribing, and hopefully one day I won't be barely anymore. I'll just be famous.
What's your podcast called?
So definitely, I have the Hundo shows. I actually have my own app that'll be out very, very soon. So depending on when you do see it, definitely download and subscribe to that. That's called the Hundo Shows app, where there's going to be a bunch of different podcasts and other shows that are produced or co-signed by myself.
Okay.
So yeah, so definitely check that out. I'm also on 8 at the Table. You can check out as well. I also have my sunglass brand, which is called Hundo Brand. We have luxury sunglasses, and then we also have sunglasses, and then we also have affordable sunglasses. So we have options.
You didn't bring
for
any for me, so we're not promoting that.
It's all right. I'll send it to you in the mail. I'll send everybody.
I'm kidding. What are your Instagram, TikTok, wherever people can find you?
Rico_Hundo, Hundo. That's everywhere. You can also Google it, find out who I am.
Go educate him. Leave all the comments combating misogyny in.
And I can educate you too as well.
No.
We have a mentorship program called Hundo University. You can enroll, and then we go ahead and get you a nice diploma.
See y'all later.
Are you looking for your next case? Pluto TV has all your favorite crime dramas streaming for free.
You're gonna need some backup.
Which means suspense is free.
Very cool.
Watch CSI New York, Criminal Minds, Blue Bloods, Tracker, FBI, and SWAT all for free.
You can't outrun this.
Someone is gonna pay for all this crime. But it's not gonna be you.
Take care of business, fellas.
Watch all the cases, all for free, from all your favorite devices.
We got you.
Feel the free. Pluto TV. Stream now. Pay never.
Now y'all know there's always more to the story. And on the Tony Brienne TV podcast, we break it all the way down. Whether it's viral moments currently shaking up on the internet. Blake Lively has been acclaimed the American Dream Girl for quite some time now. And now it seems she's America's most hated. Pop culture phenomenon everyone's talking about. Or deep dives into stories that deserve much more attention. These Black women are getting pregnant by people that we also consider to be lower than them. I'm here to give you the full picture, genuine insights, and conversations mainstream media often overlooks. Some women are getting so many fillers and Botox injected into their face that they don't even realize how crazy they can potentially look. Here, we explore different perspectives. To a lot of people, Kylie looks a lot older than she really is. And above all, we speak the truth. That is not okay, and that should get you registered as a sex offender. You must check out the Tony Brienne TV podcast. You don't want to miss what's coming next.